All right, folks, welcome to another episode of The Point. Today, we've got a special guest, and to say that I'm in a special location would be an understatement. We're at the impeccable Hendrick Motorsports campus with my dear friend, Matt Cochran. He is a man with his finger on the pulse of cutting-edge technology in the world of racing. Now, in a moment, we're going to share some fantastic insights on leadership, culture, and of course, cars. That way, you, as a smart technology leader, will have the inside line on how this world-class organization, this number one team in NASCAR, leverages technology to do what? To win. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today and being here and sharing this with you. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Fantastic thing. I'm here at the impeccable Hendrick Motorsports campus where you guys just celebrated Daytona 500 wins, first and second place.
Man, that was amazing to win, right?
Congratulations, brother.
And welcome to Hendrick Motorsports. You know, we love showcasing our campus, and welcome, and glad to have you.
Let's kind of dive into this, because with NASCAR being here, its inception is 1948, right? Also,
84 is Hendrick Motorsports.
Well, 84 is so 84 is Hendrick Motorsports. But see, well, here's the deal, and that's where I was going. So 84 is Hendrick Motorsports. So it's been 40 years. So 40 years of excellence, right? So a lot of people will say, what got you here won't get you there, and to have that much success in that period of time is just simply amazing. So when you're evaluating technology solutions for on and off the track, how do you navigate the balance between tried and true methods versus cutting edge technology that's pushing the envelope?
That's an interesting question, and it can be a challenge, right? Mm-hmm. And to a certain extent, you look at the business itself, right, and how NASCAR's transformed over the years, and the sport itself has always had an emphasis on driver performance, right? And not so much on technology, and that was because they seen the way F1 went, right? Yep. And it's the amount of technology coming into the sport, and then obviously the spin that went along with that.
Okay.
And did it really increase the competition on the track? And you can certainly say yeah, but then at the same time you see certain teams in F1 that's just always overspending the competition and staying up. And so NASCAR wanted to do it a little bit different, keep that emphasis on the driver, the human, mechanical performance, and it really played homage to the roots of the sport in a lot of ways. And so as we start looking at new technologies and new implementations and new tools, we take a step back and say, exactly how does this address performance on the racetrack?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Because one of the greatest things about working here is everybody, whether you're in IT, right, or if you're in accounting, or you're a race engineer, crew chief, or even the aviation side or maintenance, we all have one goal, right, and that's to win races and win championships.
Nice. Yeah.
And so that's the litmus test as well.
Okay.
So from a new technology perspective,
mm-hmm.
is this going to increase my performance on the track? Is this going to help me win races and win championships?
Okay.
And if the answer to that question is yes, then let's go spend some money and let's go try it out, right? Let's go test it and see if we get that performance.
Gotcha.
And if not, then let's kick it on down the road, because there's about 30 other projects that's waiting, to get resources applied to it, both monetarily and from a human capital standpoint.
Oh,
and so it's all about which one of these things is going to increase that performance on the track.
So the litmus test from an ROI perspective, when it comes to a technology investment, it needs to help you win races. So when evaluating the Island Enterprise browser, how did that pass the litmus test for Hendrick Motorsports?
Yeah, so I think when you're looking at moving that needle,
right on,
there's several buckets that you can put that into.
Okay.
One of which is from just a pure technology advantage
mm-hmm.
standpoint, right? That's an easy one to decipher and go straight to that bucket and pass that litmus test.
Okay.
Certainly, Island Browser has those capabilities when we're looking at things like productivity enhancements, security enhancements, the ability for the end user to have access to on-prem resources without the need of an additional VPN supplicant. And it's all about increasing that end user productivity.
Mm.
The other side of that is your overall technology spend. And so
right.
when we're looking at things and overhead, administration overhead, so that goes into your human resource bucket.
Yes, sir.
And so we're looking at things like, how can I reduce cost overall? How can I reduce administration overhead? Island's certainly done several of those things, right? And so we look at, yes, we had the AI assistant implementation, the password manager, the ability to remote into those on-prem resources that we just talked about.
That's right.
So we had a lot of those, productivity enhancements. Well, now we're eliminating the need for that VPN administration, right? We're eliminating the need for an additional zero trust product.
That's right.
You got zero trust built into the enterprise browser, as well as a plethora of other security products and solutions that we were trying to piecemeal together. Whereas now, here's our solution. Right?
So it sounds like you really were able to reduce a tremendous amount of technology and simplify things. Now, one of the things that's unique to Inflection Point is that we've got this thing called the outcome map. You remember going through that process with it? What was your experience with the outcome map?
Yeah, it really gave me an opportunity to step back, right, and look at it from the eyes of an end user.
Okay.
To a certain extent, and also from an administrator standpoint. And these are my challenges. In a perfect world, if I could get from point A to point B over here and do it quickly and securely, and effectively,
sure.
give this a solution to my end users to increase that productivity, why not do it?
Right? That's right.
And so the outcome map helped me paint that picture.
That's right.
And this is how we'll get from point A to point B, and this is how my return on investment is going to flow. And Inflection Point done a great job of helping us narrow down that scope and really come out of the gate strong and be able to put that return on investment on paper.
What it really does is help to paint the vision to other stakeholders within the organization, right? Sure. So you got a funny story in regards to the CFO and sharing it with the CFO. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, sure. I'm very blessed, right?
Yeah.
And that the CFO of Hendrick Motorsports, Scott Lampy, who is also my boss, he's very technical in nature, and you don't always see that in CFOs. And for me as the technology guy, and then going to Scott for our budgeting and things of that nature, right? And so we have to have those conversations, and it's an easy conversation with Scott because of his technical acumen.
Sure, he's an amazing guy.
He is, and well, what's so funny is we put this in, and one of the first things he started poking around and getting that look and feel is hey, there's this idea we can have that custom homepage.
That's right.
That we get with the Island browser. It really gives you the opportunity to build out your profiles.
That's right.
And for him, that was exactly where he went. Right. He saw that homepage. He's like, at the end of the day, what I really like to have is a central location to go.
That's right.
To have all of my tools in one place. Right. Because I've got this report over here, and this report over there.
That's right.
And so, hey, I want it all in one place. How can we do that?
And of course, we immediately got right on that. But that's fantastic because from there we talked about having a tangible return, and specifically winning, right? And that's just a different kind of win. It's a win from an end user productivity perspective, and I love the fact that he was as somebody that is in that role, he still wants to see what we're doing and to take part and positively affect the Hendrick Motorsports to win in all different aspects of it.
Absolutely, our controller also got it, but I'll say this, she has come up with probably the greatest mission statement for a department that I've ever heard.
Let's hear it.
And is we're going to spend every penny, or let me remember, take that back. The goal is to spend, or how did she put it? We're going to spend everything necessary to win races and championships and not a penny less.
Nice, nice. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's kind of what we do in the IT side too.
So I'm gonna switch gears on you for just a little bit. We might come back to a technology question. Well, let's dig into technology. So let's talk about for our cybersecurity folks out there. With the increasing connectivity of the race cars at the track and the sensitivity of the data, that coupled with the need to communicate and collaborate with other stakeholders in the NASCAR ecosystem, how does Hendricks Motorsports stay ahead of the curve in protecting its digital assets?
And that's a great question, and that's a moving target.
Yep.
And it has to be. And I think that you have to have a multifaceted, multi-pronged approach to cybersecurity. Period.
It's so good. Yeah, so true.
You gotta have
So
the
true.
framework, and you can look at the NIST framework, 800, 171, various others. Right?
Yes, sir.
It gives you a good starting point.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, where do we have to go to beat the next malware that's coming through?
That's right.
Next ransomware. And truly, from a security perspective, I don't care how much money you spend,
Mm-hmm.
you're only going to be as strong as your least trained employee.
Oh, that's powerful.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's more than just a technological knowledge. It's also the human aspect,
Mm-hmm.
social engineering, right?
Yep.
We've all heard about these stories. And so how do we go beyond, just the firewalls of the world and XDRs and all these things and really take it to the next level and help that end user, right? And so you've got to have a couple approaches to that.
Let's hear it.
And Island has, a great one with some of the anti-phishing capabilities, and they've done it in a unique way. And so with conditional access policies, you're already kind of funneling the crowd to the Island browser.
That's right.
So now you've got that entry point. So once you've got that, now we can then take the Island browser, because that is the last mile.
That's right.
That is that interface for all these applications.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's unique in that you can see what's going into the application,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's take your iptech.com, right, or what have you. You can say, all right, well, any time that an end user hits this A form, any website,
That's right.
for example,
Mm-hmm.
as soon as they put in their at iptech or at hendrickmotorsports.com, whatever, that domain name, that suffix,
Mm-hmm.
whenever they do that, bam, the Island browser is going to kick off a warning and either prevent them or at least give them a warning saying, hey, this is an unrecognizable website.
Mm.
You probably don't want to go and put in your corporate credentials in this thing.
That's right. Yeah.
So
But I want to interject for just a second. So not IP Tech is a bad website. Let's go with the other company that I used to work for. No, I'm just kidding.
TRD.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, but you got that, right?
Yes, sir.
And so you're protecting against, just accidental entering of, credentials.
That's right.
And so that's powerful right there.
So I want to just lean into that for just a second, because what you're saying, and we're seeing that with our other customers too, because you're actually putting in those security controls at the edge where the user are actually working, and with the tools that you're talking about, like robotic process automation, you're actually automating those things at the edge, and what that's doing is it's taking a lot of strain, a lot of that pressure off of their human resources that you mentioned earlier that's very limited.
It is, and to that point, I think the next step and the next part of that conversation in that multifaceted approach is you got to take advantage of AI.
100%.
Right.
100%.
So if your security tool is not AI powered, you might as well just not have it. Right.
That's right.
Because the bad guys, they're going to take advantage of AI tools.
That's
they're
right.
going to continue to innovate even quicker. And if we're not innovating even quicker on the protection and the defensive side of the ball, we're just going to get overrun. Right.
That's right.
And so, Island's got that AI assistant and AI native kind of tools built into it.
That's right.
And so that's just a powerful, administration set, and really kind of keeps us in line and hopefully ahead of pack from a bad guy.
Without a doubt. Well, not just a bad guy per se, but you're ahead of the pack from a lot of different regards, and from just the industry, because again, you're one of the things I've always admired about you, and just working with Hendrick Motorsports is the culture of innovation that you have here. That has always impressed me. I mean, I'm going off on a tangent now, so we might have to edit some of this, but just being super real. You adopted Palo Alto, you adopted Zscaler, you adopted Nutanix. That was a big thing. So always thinking ahead, but not looking at it from a technology perspective. You're looking at it from the perspective of how can this help us to win races, and that's awesome. I'm going to switch gears for just a little bit here, and let's talk about leadership, right? So I've had the pleasure of working with you for over a decade now, right? Like 16 years. And been able to see the evolution of the HMS in that particular time frame, the campus outside, even from a technology perspective. So as the IT director, how do you align your direction, your IT direction, the IT strategic direction, with the strategic direction of the organization to help them win?
Yeah, so we're kind of a medium-sized business with some enterprise level needs.
100%.
Right, and that's always kind of been the challenge from an IT perspective. I remember coming in the door here in January of 2001 and wondering why they needed a network engineer. Right, and that was one of my questions. So during my interview process, why do you need a network engineer? You're a stock car racing team, and back then, it was still a lot of shade tree mechanics and overalls and that kind of thing. And you fast forward now, we're a data driven sport.
That's amazing.
100%.
Yep.
Right. And so during that evolution, we constantly had to just stay just ahead of where competition was.
Okay.
Right. And so, having a technology background coming in here, I was already used to, enterprise systems. And so coming in the door, and the next thing I know, we're getting huge sponsors in, that's technological sponsors, right? Siemens, comes to mind, and you look at our HP sponsorship, the Cochran sponsorship, Ricoh, all these folks, and certainly Island, now is a part of that group. And how can we really key in and lean in on our partners and sponsors and push the business forward?
That's right.
Because as a small to medium-sized business, we probably would never be able to do that, initially by ourselves. And so we rely heavily on our partners.
Okay.
And part of this process and evolution of NASCAR and technology and sport, you've constantly had to evolve, just from a wireless perspective at the racetrack, for example, right?
Yeah.
I think we're the first team to really deploy wireless at the racetrack. We were the first team to do satellite at the racetrack. We were the first one to have full-time dedicated IT personnel at a racetrack. And now you look across the garage area and it's everywhere.
That's right.
And so as you see the first wireless AP is going up, and then now you've got a whole garage full of APs. Well, now there's no spectrum left. Now let's go to the next thing. What's the next thing? Well, it's WiMAX, right? Let's do that. Okay, well, now WiMAX is getting congested. Now let's go to CBRS or some other type technology.
It's like a leapfrog.
It's
continuous leapfrog. That's right.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. It's fun. It's challenging. And the interesting thing, and we always talk about being on the bleeding edge of technology versus the cutting edge, and certainly we've been on both sides of the fence. But ultimately, when you're on top, or if you're not on top, you're looking on top of that hill, right? And that's who we got to be, right? Well, and you're putting all this effort, and you can see it, and you're making gains, and you finally make it there. Well, now you've got all this competition that's still eyeballing you.
That's right.
Now, and they want to be where you're at. And so, what can we do to innovate to stay ahead of those guys that's shooting for you, right? And it's never giving up, never quitting. Continual innovation, not resting on your success. Right?
That's so good. That's so good. And let's talk about the culture for just a second, because the culture here is phenomenal. And you mentioned it. We kind of talked about it earlier, right? Or maybe we didn't. And one of the things I picked up working with you is this idea of we win together. Would you mind sharing just a bit about the culture here at Hendrick Motorsports, and how you recruit, train, and then retain some of the best people in the world?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're very blessed. I mean, you walk around the shop, and if you can dream it, somebody here can do it.
Right.
And to have that level of talent in one location is amazing. But it is about the people, right? And we just had our season kickoff here, and Mr. and Mrs. Hendrick, shared some stories and their past and the 40 years of Hendrick Motorsports, our anniversary.
It's phenomenal.
Here, and just all the trials and tribulations and the good times and the bad. There's one common theme about all of it, and it's the people.
That's right.
Right. He really cares about the people, and that's from the top down, right?
That's right.
And so, it's about servant leadership. It's about understanding one another, understanding that we all have that same goal, and how can we help each other to reach that goal. And it's common people working together to produce the uncommon result.
Tell me about the skill sets. So when you're looking at bringing people onto your IT team.
Sure.
Tell me about what competencies and skill sets are you looking for?
For the most part, it is a lot of just personality to a certain extent.
Fantastic.
Right? Like you walk around this place, you feel the energy.
That's right.
You feel the energy from the folks. You see people come up to you and just engage and have that conversation. Hey, what are you doing? What do you do? And when they're trying to extract that information out of you because they want to understand, okay, what value can you bring to the business to help us go out and win races and win championships?
That's right.
Right. Same way you look at the technology play, we're looking at it from a human capital standpoint. Are you capable of learning? Do you have that competitive nature in you? Because we're going to work hard and we're going to play hard, but we're going to do it together.
That's right.
And so you've got to have some of that ability to let the bad times roll off your back.
That's right.
And the good times not let you get too far out of scope, so that you're not staying focused on staying on top of that mountain.
That's right.
So it's a combination of all that.
Sure. I appreciate you sharing that. There are two key things that I heard from our last bit of conversation. One of those is this: I love the concept of we win together, right? And I've actually taken that into heart here at Inflection Point Technology. The other thing that I really heard was, when you're looking for people who have this idea of not here. When you hire them, they're not like, here I am. Yeah, I'm here. Right? It's more, there you are. What can I do for you? And again, like you said, you feel the energy from the people at the museum, people sweeping sweeping the floors, to the pit crew. I ran into the chief of the pit crew the other day. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So there's that.
From a personnel standpoint, it's not a knock on the folks that maybe is not as competitive as in nature or anything else, right?
Right.
It's either a culture fit or it's not, right?
That's fair.
It's not, and folks that's come in and fit that culture has been lifers, right? And folks that's come in and like, wow, I like more structure.
Sure.
Right? Maybe this is not for me. And,
Sure.
And it's pretty quick, determination there.
That's right.
And it is as much for the employee as it is for the employer at that point. And it's interesting to see that over the years, and this who personality-wise fit. And I would say that one of the interesting things that I've seen, from an IT perspective, especially for that track, side,
Okay.
is military, former military.
Oh wow, 100%.
There's a lot of similarities there, from the pressure that you experience in the military,
Okay.
and all those outside interferences coming in at you.
Uh-huh.
And what we do from a racing perspective is a mobile game,
Okay.
in the armed forces, and it's a mobile game. In NASCAR, right?
That's right.
We're out, we're moving around, and it's going everywhere, and we gotta perform.
So what he's saying, the ability to deal with stress,
Absolutely.
but then more importantly, the ability to focus on the mission, putting mission first.
That's
Right. That's fantastic. That's really, really good stuff. Now, when it comes to partnerships, does the same principle of we win together apply to partnerships?
Absolutely. For
Yeah.
us, like, and I'll give this example.
Please.
Right. So I remember when I first started, it was probably, I'm going to say 6 months before I could walk through the engine shop and people not put, napkins and things to cover over components and parts and pieces, right?
Yeah.
And the reason for that is these guys have worked so hard to create that competitive advantage that they don't want to just see that IP walk out the door, right? And so there's some parallels here.
That's right.
There's parallels on the data side. You don't want your data walking out the door. You
Absolutely.
Don't want, your new widget to walk out the door either, right? And so same kind of thing. And so when we talk about partners and folks that come in and want to do business with motorsports and Hendrick, it's the same kind of thing. We want to make sure you're going to be there.
That's right.
We want to, because we've got some IP and we want, to win together. We want you invested because that's going to drive us both and make us both better, right?
That's right.
The tide floats all boats. I've heard that. Cool.
March 2015, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I don't know if you remember this experience, but we were working together at the previous company and got a call from you guys that Friday. Network was down. We're having some issues with the firewall. So I won't say the brand of the firewalls. Had some issues with the firewalls. What can you do? So we bang out the configuration. We send it over to you. That next morning, 7:53. That next morning, I get a text with a picture on it with Jimmy Johnson actually signing the firewall saying, "Hey, thanks for fixing the network," or something like that. You remember that?
I do remember that. That was a very stressful time. But that's the partnership.
That's the partnership. Right? Yeah.
You guys, we made that phone call. We had 2 firewalls. Everything we do's got redundancy. Right?
Yeah.
But when you have a power surge and both of them's plugged in, bad things happen. That's exactly right. Yeah, but that was the level of partnership that we relied on you guys.
That's right.
And we knew that you had our back.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day,
that's
you
right.
had our back, and we went out and we competed. I think that firewall actually made its way back.
It did. But listen, one of the key things I want to say there, though, what's important to me too, is that not only do we win together, we also lose together. Right? We got to take the good and the bad. So our success is just as your success is more important to me than our success. So
it is a symbiotic relationship.
That's right. For the general audience and the entrepreneurs out there, what's the most surprising way technology impacts the performance of the race car that the average person just may not know about?
And again, NASCAR is more mechanical, human relationship, but I think from yes, there's starting to be more and more data coming off the cars, right? When we look at that, and I was talking to one of our data scientists yesterday, and talking about some of the newest telemetry that's coming off.
I just want to interject for just a second because that what you just said, that might be something that the average person doesn't know. That you got a data scientist working in there. That's right. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Please continue.
Yeah, but we were looking at the amount of data that was coming that we were being able to ingest. That was just pure, telemetry data. This isn't taking into consideration of all the other multitudes of data that we got. This is pure telemetry data coming off of the cars that we're collecting, and it was over 500,000 rows of data per minute. That's a ton of data coming at you. If you're not prepared to consume that amount, and then really not even just consume it, you got to do something.
Do something with it. Yeah.
Just to have it.
Just sitting there looking at it. Yeah.
It's got to be action.
Yeah.
Right. It's got to be quick. And and so seconds don't matter. Just on the racetrack.
That's
on
right.
Pit road. It also matters in the data center, and it matters on the data scientist workstation as well.
There you go.
And so for me, I think to answer your question, the bottom line is the amount of data and AI and machine learning that it requires to go out and compete at this level on Sundays is probably the most intriguing thing to me, especially growing up, being a fan of the sport.
Yeah.
And then getting into IT, and then coming full circle and being part of it, I think that's probably the most interesting thing to me in today's technology in NASCAR.
Right on. So, last question here. So, for the gearheads and the folks who really love cars, what's the most interesting either gadget or piece of technology that you've seen implemented recently, and how does it on a race car recently, and how does it elevate the driving experience for the athlete behind the wheel?
Yeah, so you look at all that data that's coming off the cars now, and we just talked about, it's not just good enough to have the data; it's how you act, how you act upon it. And from a driver's perspective, with SMT, and that's the sports media technology, that's the data and the company that provides that telemetry and all that data that's coming off the cars. And same, just like if you're watching the football game, they got the down markers and lines, and this is the yellow line that's kind of virtualized across the field. It's the same company that does all that.
All right.
And so all that data coming at you. So from a driver's perspective, we're looking at things like throttle position, when they're on and off throttle, specific driver lines. All that data is there now, and so with this SMT tools that they give us, we can now see all this virtually with 3D models, and we can see the cars going around the track complete with all the different telemetry feeds coming in. So let's say you're Kyle Larson, and you're wanting, and maybe you go out, you run some practice times, maybe you wasn't at the top of the board, but you want to look at what was different between you and the guy that was at the top of the board. Well, maybe he's getting off the throttle a little bit sooner, picking it up a little bit quicker, and slightly different line.
Got it.
Right, and so all of those are driver aids to a certain extent to understand exactly where, as a driver, I'm getting beat. And so I know what I got to do as a driver to pick up the time and meet this. Whether the car can do it or not, that's a different story.
Sure.
And how I relay that is really the IP, I guess you would say, that's the difference between winning and losing. It's how quick you can adapt and change and make those modifications and hopefully drop down those lifetime.
Heck yeah, man. So I was for me, like I said, it was a pretty open-ended question. And for me, it's Garage 56, right?
Yeah.
So and specifically the lights.
The Garage 56 is really cool.
The Garage 56 lights. So for those that don't know, do you mind just sharing just a little bit about what Garage 56 is?
Yeah. So Garage 56 was it's made to be a kind of a test exhibition type of car.
That's right.
Prototype type cars for the Le Mans.
24 Hours of Le Mans. That's right.
And so I think it was 50 years ago, previously NASCAR had went over there and took a stock car and run it as part of that Garage 56 program. And 50 years later, we decided to do it again. And
that's right.
It was a joint venture between NASCAR, Chevrolet, and Hendrick Motorsports. And, we worked with, several of, the world's best drivers in the world, Jenson Button, Jimmy Johnson, Rockefeller. How you say it?
Rockefeller.
Rockefeller.
You said it right. You said Rockefeller. That's right.
Yeah, I said it right. Anyway, we so this program it was the car itself obviously had to be modified.
That's right.
We just couldn't take a pure stock car, and so we had the ability to put winglets on the car.
That's right.
And really take that creativity that sometimes as engineers we miss. In NASCAR today, because we had so much creativity before we could come up with those new widgets, right?
That's right.
Some of that's been taken away, but with the Garage 56, we got all of it back. We could say, "Hey, man, let's just go out and make this thing as badass as we can."
Exactly. It's all good. We're gonna keep that. Yeah, it was. And like I said, it's just you don't see lights like on a NASCAR. I mean, typically they're painted on, but these lights were
real.
Right. It was just awesome. So we're off of the like the normal flow of questions here. But one of the things I think is important for us to get is letting people know that the Island Enterprise browser is the enterprise browser of Hendrick Motorsports. Well, two-part question. So what is it about the Island Enterprise browser that was interesting to you? And then what was that final tipping point that said, hey, we want to make this the enterprise browser of Hendrick Motorsports?
Yeah, so, I think first off, to answer that question, you almost have to go back to, I think, most CIOs' question when they first get the pitch, right?
Yep.
Why do I have to buy, or why do I need to spend money on a browser?
Yes.
Right. So that's question number one. Once you kind of start going down this path, and you understand that, man, the one application that we use the most out of any other thing is the browser.
That's right.
Right. We pay for ERP systems. We pay for Office and all these different tools, right?
That's right.
But we haven't been paying for the browser, for the most part. And not to say that we have to pay for the browser or want to, but the fact is, it was always just this window. It's a window that we use to peer into everything else. And with the invent of cloud computing and everything that we have going on today, and pretty much 99% of the applications that we use is pretty much web-based.
That's right.
In some form or fashion. And, we need to be able to connect to it. Well, now that browser has become the last mile interface for pretty much everything that we do from a compute standpoint. And
yeah, because you're not going to leverage AI without it. Right.
That's
You're not going to leverage Workday without it.
Absolutely. And so for us is, once we started going down the path of, we're going to eliminate additional overhead from VPNs, security tools, zero trust, all these things, right? That we're getting on the back end from an administration efficiency standpoint. And now we're getting, we're looking at we look at AI.
That's right.
And everybody wants to take advantage of it. But if you're using this, ChatGPT, the freeware versions, you're sending all your IP out, for the mothership to learn.
That's right.
And, we don't necessarily want to do that. Well, with the Island browser, we can light up those tools and put that power into our end users' hands without having to have the concern of our IP leaving the organization. Right. So a lot of
it's so powerful.
Go away.
Yeah.
And so from that perspective alone, the ability to confidently push out an AI assistant and large language models to the end user community and do it in a manner that we feel comfortable with is that's powerful there.
That's right.
And so there's certainly other alternatives for that. Well, then we look at, what's the other use cases? One of the ones that we've had was being able to access some of our product data management, product lifecycle management.
That's right.
Applications that reside on-prem, via mobile browser, and with that, we may not necessarily want to deploy an MDM solution. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But at the end of the day, as a end user of the computing device that you personally own, you may not want to necessarily install an MDM software on your personal device.
That's right. It's my stuff.
That's your stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But you might be okay with just installing a browser to be able to access your corporate resources.
That's right.
And so once we figured that piece out, and now you don't have to have the VPN, it just automatically tunnels in through the broker. Well, man, that's powerful there too.
Yes, sir.
Right? And so you start thinking about it, and you start to come up with these different problems, and the first thing that pops out of your mind is a possible solution to this IT challenges. I think I could do that with the Island browser, right?
Yeah.
And it's been amazing how many of those conversations we've had.
It's been awesome.
We've had situations where our sister teams that we have engineering relationships with need access to resources. Well, how do we do that and do it efficiently and quickly, right?
And safely too, right?
And safely, right? Well, give them the Island browser, right? Set it up, send it to them. Well, now they're having direct access without a VPN, having to install and configure and do all that. And we can monitor it and have complete control over that and know exactly what they're getting.
That's powerful.
So, it's just one use case after another, and finally you get to that, like you said, that tipping point where this just makes sense. Let's make this the official enterprise browser of Hendrick Motorsports.
thank you so much for allowing us into your house, allowing us to be a part of this community, allowing us to win with you. Thank you so much, Matt.
Well, thank you for coming out and visiting us. Thank you for all that you've done for us over the years of being that great partner. And we're excited. And, we're going to go into 2024 and win some races and
win some more races. Yeah,
that's right.
That's right.
Win some more races and win Mr. Hendricks his 15th championship. So
it's going to be fantastic.
We want to go do.
Let's do it. We win together.
We'll do it together.
Thank you so much, man.
Appreciate it.
If you'd like to learn more about the Island Enterprise Browser, the enterprise browser of Hendrick Motorsports, connect with us. In the comments below, put your favorite driver, or better yet, put the biggest thing that you learned. For me, it was what got you here, what will get you there. Thanks again.